I'm standing in front of the Sanford Dam. You can see it over my shoulder. And as you can also see, again, it is raining out here again. I want to thank my new patrons before we get this started. So a huge thanks to my new patron, Joe, and for people sending me letters through the mail. So thank you to Paul and Robin, Rich and Bonnie, and Jack and Linda. I will pop my P.O. box up on the screen right now. If anyone wants to send me anything there. Let me get this camera turned around now though and get back underneath the umbrella. Also, if anyone wants to send me a new umbrella to the P.O. box, feel free to do that, because this one looks like it's having a little bit of an issue and will turn inside out if we get some strong winds here. I'm gonna try to keep the rain off the lens of the camera as much as possible, but I'm starting over here today, and as soon as I get done filming this intro, I will be heading over there onto the site. So let's just take a look at what we have here on the site. The temporary bridge is right over there, right in the middle of the screen, with the Tittabawassee River flowing underneath that. And then over here we have Sanford Dam. They put a nice roadway in front of the dam, right up to that sill, so that they have access now. Looks like they're going ahead, just about ready to lower another one of the Tainter gates. We can see the gates on Bay 1 and 2, or 5 and 6, depending on how you look at it, have already been lowered. This crane out here, I believe, is a 150-ton crane. I will get verification of that when I get over there on the site. But yeah, a ton of work is happening and has been happening over the last couple weeks. And when I get over there on the site, I'm going to tell you a little bit more as to what's going to be happening here. Then I will be heading up to Edenville. I will be filming at the Tobacco River and the Edenville Dam. Hopefully I'm able to fly the drone today with this rain coming down. I'm hoping that we do get a little break in it, that I'm able to get that up in the air and get some of those aerial videos. If not, maybe I will have to stop back by here after I'm done filming up at the Edenville and Tobacco River Dam. All right. Let's either throw the drone up in the air now and get some of that video, or head over there to the site and I'll explain what work is going on here. Jumping into the drone video now, I was able to get a slight chance to fly the drone for maybe 10-15 minutes before the rain came. This altitude was up at 400 feet, just so that we could see how everything is looking up there. And I'm dropping an altitude right in front of the powerhouse. We can see the temporary bridge, lift bridge back there in the background, the 150-ton crane sitting over gate 6 right now, and we can see gates 5 and 6 have been lowered. So now directly behind the dam, I'll come up a little bit closer, and we can see they still have yet to lower gates 1 through 4. A lot of work has happened since the time that I was already out there, though, at the time of me filming this voiceover, and it's only been a couple days, so things are really progressing very fast here at Sanford. Pretty cool seeing right there under Bay 5, you can see that pass-through gate. I'm now over here on site, kind of over by the staging area, right by where the temporary bridge is located. And up this direction is the Tittabawassee River flowing over Sanford Falls. I'm gonna stay plenty far enough away from the water because I'm not gonna go right over there, or else I would need a life jacket on. But like I said, this is kind of a staging area. Also a staging area up there in the parking lot, and this is where this temporary bridge is located. I'm going to try to keep as much of the water off the lens as possible today, but it will be difficult. I'm working with the conditions that I'm given. But yeah, this was not installed last time I was here, so I have a bunch of pictures to show you of when they actually installed this, and actually some time-lapse video of when the crane flew this in. And also yesterday they did a bridge lift test. You might be able to see, looks like these giant I-beams here on each side of the bridge, and then the kind of chain falls down on the bridge as well. So they lifted up the bridge maybe 2 feet, made sure they were able to do that, and that is in case the river comes way up high, they'll be able to lift this bridge even higher up to get above that river flowing. Also, I know there was a lot of people asking that have been watching the live camera, well, what happens if these braces, the I-beams that are going to be supporting the bridge, wash away? I will ask about that, but down here they did bore down and pour concrete. I'm not sure quite how deep they went, but I'm sure they went deep enough so that that will not wash away. But that is the temporary bridge, and as a lot of people noticed on the live camera, they did go ahead and weld up the Old Glory, keeping with the ironworkers tradition of flying the American flag over the top of the bridge. We're gonna head over there to the dam now. We'll check out the earthen embankment and the work that's going on over there, and I'll go ahead and clean the lens of the camera off now. Here's a little bit better view of the temporary bridge, and also I'll mention that this was made by the same company that made the temporary bridge up there in Edenville, Anland Corporation, and it was assembled here on site. You can see just how large those chain falls are though, and the cables holding that up. It actually looked like they put a level on it when they were doing the bridge test yesterday. And again, Tittabawassee River flowing down there over the top of Sanford Falls. Rain is definitely starting to come down quite a bit now, but let's head up here and check out the front side of Sanford Dam. Before I head over to the dam, I'm going to show you guys a couple photos that were provided to me. Those I-beams that I kept referring to are actually H-beams. We can see this was at the start of the bridge lift, and a couple more photos just showing the progression of the bridge being lifted higher and higher. You may have noticed that level on there that they were making sure they were lifting evenly. Now we'll jump into some of this time-lapse video, and I'll go over a few more of the technical details of how this bridge is constructed and the lift H-beams or H-piles, because like I said, there was a few people asking, well, what happens if they start washing away? So these H-piles are embedded over 10 feet into the ground, and they're poured full of tested and passed concrete. Then these are braced with 4 by 1 inch rods. You might be able to see these in some of my videos, and each one of those are embedded 12 inches into a separate 6 foot deep tested and passed slab of concrete. These do have 3/4 inch plates and 1 5/8 inch nuts on them. All of this has been designed and engineered to withstand if we do have a flood through this area. So there's really not much to worry about. You can definitely be confident that this bridge will withstand flood waters if it does need to be lifted in the future. This time-lapse video makes it look like it was pretty easy work, but I did take out a few of the brakes. I'm glad the workers were definitely taking their ergo brakes, because you can probably tell just how fast their hands are moving, and this was really strenuous work to get this bridge lifted up. It looks like the way down was probably a little bit easier. Of course, we got gravity working on our side to just go ahead and lower that bridge down the rest of the way in place. This was pretty cool to see from my live camera though. I'm glad there was a lot of people that tuned in to see this. Jumping back to the drone, we can see how much rain there is coming down at this moment. This whole area over here on the right hand side was cleaned up by Servinski Sod Service. We can see the Tittabawassee River right here in front of the dam, the temporary bridge over here on the left hand side, and you can see all those braces that go down inside of that concrete, and then a couple of those chain falls that are still attached to the bridge. And then up to the north, we can see Sanford Falls just entering the screen here now. Lake bed is looking pretty brown right now, but it's only a matter of time before things start greening up. I'm sure that will start to happen in the next couple of weeks. Now down here in front of the dam, you can see all the ice that they had to move out of here to bring this roadway down in here. So they put some larger riprap underneath and then spread gravel over the top of this. You can see gates 5 and 6 in their lowered position. They're going to work on lowering the rest of the gates today and tomorrow, and then hopefully flying out some of these gates later on this week as well. Up there you can see my live camera up on the powerhouse, and let's walk up here and take a look right on the other side of the sill. So they have this water, or they have this gravel and riprap right up to the front of the sill. There was a couple of people watching the live camera and noticed that they were actually defishing this yesterday. Apparently there was quite a few large 2-foot bass, even some pike, and a lot of bluegill in here. So they did walk around with buckets and collect as many fish as they could and transfer them over to the other side. And right down here where all that kind of clay is sitting, there was some pass-throughs that went through the actual sill itself, and that's where those fish were coming. They were coming through from this side and passing through the sill and ended up in this little bit of water that was still sitting back here. So kind of a little bit of a tunnel that they would just cross back and forth between. They have since went ahead and sealed up those PVC pass-throughs so that water is not able to flow through onto this side any longer. Got a couple dewatering pumps pumping the water over to the other side. You can see a little bit of a concrete wall there, concrete bag wall. That will be coming down as well. That will not remain. And this right here is the pass-through when they were working on building this dam, that they could continue to allow the water to flow through the dam while they were going ahead and constructing the rest of the structure. After all the structure was complete, then they went ahead and could seal up the gate that is on the other side. I'm not sure if we can really see it, but they're right there in the middle is where that water used to be able to come through there. So once that was sealed up, then the lake, Sanford Lake over there on the other side, could start to fill. So pretty interesting seeing some of that. Make sure you keep watching the live camera though to see all the work that's going on here. It's pretty cool being able to see this all the time, whenever you want, 24/7. And I also want to mention the live camera up there on Secord Dam. I think we only have about $730 left to raise before I'm able to get a dam installed up there. So check out the GoFundMe, link in the description down below if you want to support that. Let me talk a little bit more about what's going to be happening here on this dam though. So all the work ongoing right now is for stabilization. Really the main goal is to get the Tittabawassee River that's flowing over there underneath the temporary bridge directed back over the top of this dam. So gates will be lowered, gates will then be removed, and then they will work on lowering these spillways. They're gonna make the new concrete weir spillway just like they did over there on the Tobacco River Dam. To get that water flowing back over the top of this dam though, they need to lower these spillways to the water height that is over there on the other side. The water height will not change. It will remain about the same level as it is over there on the other side. So the lakes will not refill, but they will have the water flowing back over the top of this dam. So that's what's going to be happening here over the next couple of months. I will be providing the engineering diagrams and details at the end of this video like usual, talking about a little bit more of this as well. The rain did break a little bit, so I was able to fly the drone a little bit more. Again, this area over here on the right hand side is where all those trees were cleared up out of, directly over the top of the temporary bridge right now. And that bridge is just to give them access to this side of the dam. So that will not be in place for a whole lot longer. It's just really until they can redirect that water back over the top of the dam, and then they can fill in this breach area where the Tittabawassee River is currently flying through. I'm going to keep gaining altitude and fly all the way back up to 400 feet. But while I am doing that, I do want to kind of give you an update as to what's happened at the time of me filming this voiceover. So they have already lowered all 6 of the gates, and they have actually already removed 2 or 3 of the Tainter gates and flown them out of here. So I will be hopefully getting back out there again in the next week or two. With all the progress that's happening, I don't want to miss any of the stuff that is going on. And again, we can see a lot of this from the live camera, but there's nothing like being there in person and documenting this firsthand on the ground. I'm now probably at about 300 feet in altitude, facing to the south. We can see some of the Sanford Park in the background in front of the dam, and I'm going to keep gaining altitude so that we get all the way up to 400 feet. The legal height that I'm able to fly to, and we'll be able to see the entire site. Over here on the right hand side, enter the screen, that used to be all Sanford Lake, so that is the lake bed. Here's a shot from up here near the top of the earthen embankment. Not a whole lot to see. You can see the line that they're drawing right now. And the plan is, excavator sitting down here with the breaker right now, he's going to start breaking away right where that line is. Then they can go ahead, just like the Tobacco River, and start pouring those new weir spillways inside there. After those new weir spillways are poured, then they can go ahead and break away the top. Pretty much exactly like the work that was done over there on the Tobacco River. I'm gonna go ahead, turn, show you the earthen embankment real quick back here, and now I'm sure the lens is covered in water. But that'll be the last little bit of work here, as they will be refilling in the earthen embankment, creating another eye wall just like over there on the Edenville Dam, and then redirecting the river, the Tidwassee River, flowing over the top of here. Then they can go ahead and fill in that breach area. I'm gonna run back to the truck now and attempt to fly the drone in this weather. Hopefully we get a little bit of break in the rain, and I'll be able to do that. And I'll also probably stop at the other staging area up near the top of the park and show you what's staged up there. This is a quick time lapse showing the process of lowering the Tainter gates. Looks like they hooked the crane onto the existing chain and then cut the winch free. After the winch is free, they can go ahead and lower the Tainter gate down the rest of the way. Then they got on there with a sawzall. They cut off the rubber piece that seals the Tainter gate to the actual spillway itself so it doesn't leak around there. They do this on each of the sides, and it seems like this is a pretty quick process. It's definitely quicker than them going ahead and flying the gates out. Like I said, that will be in a future video that I filmed the time lapse of that. After those rubber pieces are removed, then they can go ahead, lower the gate down the rest of the way, drop the ladder down and unhook the crane from it, and the gate's in its lowered position. The drone is facing to the south now, flying directly over the top of spillway number 1. And you can see the excavator down here has the breaker on and is working away. Crane over here on the right hand side. And I'll go ahead and turn around so that we're facing to the north and we can see what the breaker is working on. You can see that they pretty much cleared out a lot of the water that was here behind the sill. With those pass-throughs open, those PVC pass-throughs that those fish were actually swimming through, the water kept flowing back in here behind the sill, so they had to go ahead, seal those up so that they could pump this dry. And now, just entering the screen, we can see the hole that the breaker has already made. By the time I got back to the truck and got the drone back up in the air, there was already some action going on. Might be able to see a little bit of that rebar in there. I will also point out that, as usual, I will be including a little bit of this raw video at the end of this video. If you want to stay tuned to the end and watch the breaker remove a little bit more of the spillway. It's actually interesting watching the live camera. Depending on where the breaker is working, I do notice the whole entire camera shakes, so that whole powerhouse must be shaken a little bit. They did attach some prisms on site here, so we will be able to see and know if any of the foundation or retaining walls or anything on this dam has moved from the work that is ongoing here. I don't even think I mentioned it either though, but right where I was standing where the earthen embankment was, there used to be the emergency spillways. All those emergency spillways were broken apart with the excavator with the breaker on it and hauled off site. And I'm actually kind of curious now at the time of us building our dream home. You can watch my other YouTube channel linked in the description down below if you want to check that out. But we will be putting in a crushed concrete driveway. So I'm kind of curious as to if some of this concrete that's coming from the spillways will be possibly recrushed and used in our driveways, because we are using Fisher Contracting as our supplier to bring that in. I do think that would be kind of cool if we have a little bit of that history actually on our property as well, but I'm not entirely sure if that's what's going on with it or not. If I do find out, I will for sure let you know on my other channel. I'll go ahead and gain a little bit more altitude here. Also, I will probably include a little bit of the video from the live camera, a little bit of a time lapse showing the process of lowering these Tainter gates. And then on the next video, the update video I do of Sanford Dam, I will probably include a time lapse of showing them flying out the Tainter gates. Directly over here used to be the old substation. We can see that old blue turbine housing still sitting over there. And now I'm facing to the south, flying down the Tidwassee River. And over here on the right hand side is the temporary bridge. I'm gonna fly over here and get some nice shots. It would be pretty neat to fly directly underneath this bridge, but I'm sure I would get a ton of interference, may actually lose control of the drone, in which case it would try to gain altitude and probably crash directly into the bridge. Needless to say, that would not be safe to do. And when I'm out here on site, safety is my number one concern and priority. I'm sure there will be a couple people that suggest that I go ahead and do that, so I'll just go ahead and tell you right now why I'm not going to. We'll fly over here to the north side of the bridge now. I'll probably go right over the top of Sanford Falls from what I remember, and then we'll drop right down close and see what the bridge looks like over here. I'm probably only about 50 feet in altitude, and the area that I'm flying on top of, directly over the top of right now, used to be the earthen embankment. We might be able to see a little bit of the remnants over this on the left-hand side. And that's actually right where Sanford Falls is located. It makes sense why the falls are here as well. You know, when that water came rushing over the top of the earthen embankment, started back cutting it, that's where we do have a large drop off on the backside of the earthen embankment. Here up close to the bridge now, we can see a lot of that large riprap underneath. I'm guessing this is probably some MDOT heavy. I'll go ahead, drop in altitude, and I'm probably only about 4 feet directly over the top of the Tittabawassee River. I'll spin around really quick, well, not too quick so that you guys don't get dizzy, and you'll be able to see the water coming over the top of the falls. Looks like it's icing up a little bit. We did have some warm-ups, and actually the day that I was out there was not too cold. I mean, it was definitely freezing rain. I did include the weather at the beginning as someone had requested this before, so let me know if you'd like me to include that in the future videos in the comments down below. Doesn't take too long. It's just a screenshot of the current weather conditions when I'm out there on site, and all I have to do is remember to actually attach it onto the video. Here's a real quick view of the staging area up here by the Sanford Park and Boat Launch. Looks like they have a whole dumpster full of rebar that is from the old emergency spillways, the off-road dump truck, and the loader up here. Some riprap staged over here, and then the work trailer over here. So I was able to fly the drone, actually just landed it, and you can see the amount of rain that is coming down right now. It was completely soaked, so I'm probably not going to go up to the Tobacco River and Edenville Dam today. I'll have to head up there a different day to film an update, but definitely pretty cool out here at Sanford Dam watching this work be done, and hopefully you enjoyed some of those drone shots. If you have, make sure you go down below, hit the like button, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and as always, leave any questions and comments you have down below, and until the next one, I'll see you then.
Last, we don't have pictures on Sanford, but if you can imagine, we're doing the same thing. It took us an extra 3 months, given some of this floodplain issues we're going to talk about, to get it permitted. So we're a little bit behind schedule, but we feel like this will be done by the end of summer. It's essentially the same model. We're going to remove the spillways, get a position for the new spill gates, and run an embankment on the west side of the dam to basically bring the water back in if it's needed to work through. We've had two kind of questions. If you're in Secord and Sanford, or Secord and Smallwood, you're asking, why isn't there being work on my dam? And the answer is, we've already done the stabilization, and there is work being done. It's primarily engineering work. In these dams, we've been doing the engineering and working on the stabilization of these, as you can see, much bigger projects. And we needed to get the spillway capacity set on the upper two dams before we could work on Edenville and Sanford. So we did the 30% engineering, but now we're staffing up engineering for those projects as well.
What this project really is if you combine what we're doing on the Tittabawassee side with the breach channel with what we're doing on the Tobacco Spillway, it's kind of that merger of this project. So starting on the left side of this page, or right looking downstream, we do need to close off the existing breach channel and push flow back through the primary spillway. So what we're planning to do at the spillway structure itself is we are going to remove the upper portions of the barrel arch, which is the upstream portion of the spillway, and the downstream rollway. And we're going to be putting in a new mass concrete weir across all 6 spillway bays. So we'll be taking the gates out, lowering the sill elevation or the invert elevation to regulate or restore kind of the current base level elevation in Sanford Lake, and push that water through the former spillway footprint. And then while we're doing that, we are going to be having a very similar design in terms of the embankment. It's going to be that steel sheet pile along with the eye wall, which would be rock fill on both sides. In addition to that work, we have quite a bit of cleanup that has to be performed. The breach demolished the auxiliary spillway that was in place, moved around a lot of material that was the former embankments, and just a lot of debris that needs to be cleaned up and removed off site. In addition to that work, we are going to restore some of the erosion on the shoreline immediately downstream of the spillway, and then also be removing some of the sediment that is accumulated immediately downstream of the dam. So we are in the permit and design process with this. We're working with Eagle right now to get a permit to get our contractor on site to start doing this site cleanup before they start working on the spillway. So we're hopeful that we'll be out there here this fall, and that work would go through early spring of next year.
Yeah, one of the challenges, I think it's complicated too in terms of the construction to get access to these dams. So yeah, as we see this, so there's actually, I think you can see it in the drawing, but I think it's covered by the label. To be able to get across and access this, we're putting a temporary bridge in. And so that requires a fair amount of, just to do the construction across it. So that's been kind of tying us up a little bit to get all that done. And so it's not that we don't want to start. It's like we got to get all this thing done and done safely and working through that. But we're pretty close now, and would expect to start hopefully in the next several weeks and get this moving as well. And then we have the wrong slide next is what we're going to condition. So I think we put Ron, I think we have another, that says Sanford restoration, but as we looked at it, I think it's the Edenville restoration. So we labeled the wrong one on it. So so you can look at it twice, but it looks the same. But we'll get it out on the website in the next day or so correctly. Sanford, I think the difference is on the timeline is Sanford, it has the same kind of structure, but it does the construction cycle is smaller. And so we think we can get that done 1 year earlier and to work on. So I don't want to go through that because as we looked at it, all of a sudden it's like, oh wait, we got this one labeled wrong. So we'll get that cleaned up a little bit. Apologize for that. So let's move forward on that, and we'll get the right one on there to work through. The one though, so that's kind of where we are. Like I said, we'll get those out there. We'll start to measure the aspects of it to work through, and how fast we go on this restoration again is a big function of how we look at the financing. The finance isn't going to bring the construction timelines much earlier, but it certainly de-risks the projects, makes it more affordable, and simplifies what we're doing. But I wouldn't say just takes less complexity out of it. Still remains a complex project.
Thanks for watching, and make sure you hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed this video. Also, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next videos I will be posting, and leave your questions, comments, and suggestions below. As always, I just want to give a massive thanks to the people who support me on Patreon. Never underestimate the value of your contribution to keeping this channel going. Thank you.